Hello, I'm Michael Finn, holistic exercise and lifestyle coach, and this is part 2 of fasting. So in part 1, I talk more about what fasting's all about, whether it's good for you and all that kind of stuff. So first little review that I'm definitely going to throw in here is before starting to do a fast, you need to follow rule number 1 when it comes with nutrition, and that is eliminating all of that garbage processed food. So we need to eat real whole food, organic, regenerative farmed meats, poultry, fish, chicken, all that kind of good stuff, fruit, vegetables, raw honey, and if you can tolerate it, raw dairy. Okay? All that needs to come first before you do anything else, so that you're putting really good nutrition into your body for a good 3 to 6 months before you do like anything else. That way your body has lots of nutrition on board. So because I think fasting is a good idea, simply because it improves our tolerance to stress, it improves our body's digestive system's ability to absorb nutrients. So, and on top of that, it will reduce your grocery bill not only while you're fasting, but typically you don't need to eat as much, after you fast. Most Americans are eating way too much food, so plain and simple. So that's why we have an obesity problem in this country. So, the other important keys for how to set your fast up. So like number 1 is that eating really good high quality food for 3 to 6 months. Then I recommend starting off with something like trying intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting is where we spend a good portion of a 24-hour period without food. So I typically recommend people try pushing their breakfast off. This includes coffee. When I'm saying fasting, I mean the only thing you have is water when you're fasting, nothing else. No other beverages, no juices, no coffees, no teas, no none of that. It's like just water. So we're designed to go without, food for a while. We're designed to survive famines and that sort of thing. And the female body is designed to last for 9.5 months without food. So that's why women carry more body fat on them, so that they can, feed the growing baby inside of them and create breast milk and everything else. So, it's, perfectly fine, not while you're pregnant or, breastfeeding or anything like that, to be fasting. That's not a good idea, but that's a whole nother story. So try intermittent fasting first. That's where we cut food off at least 4 hours before bedtime at nighttime. So I try to have my last meal of the day most days at like say 4 p.m. or earlier, and I go to bed somewhere between like 8:30 and 10 p.m. every night. So I've got at least 4 to up to 6 hours before I even go to bed. And then that way my body burns lots of body fat while I sleep. And then you sleep all night, and then you wake up the next morning and try to push breakfast off until 9, 10, even 11 o'clock, to where, most days I just have 2 meals. I'll have a meal somewhere between 9 and 11 a.m., and then I'll have another meal somewhere between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. So, and then that's it. And then I have that long period of time where I go without food, and my body's very used to that. So I recommend trying intermittent fasting first and see how that goes, as well as making sure that you follow the other rules of like having protein and fat at every meal, protein about the size of the palm of your hand or a little bit more, and so that way your body runs on protein and fat. It needs protein and fat and water every day, so if you're not consuming it, it's going to pull it out of your own tissue. Then the other part, so then once you've done that and you've tried intermittent fasting and now you're thinking about going a day or 2 days or 3 days, I typically don't recommend any more than that to start with, without food and just drinking water, I recommend that people shift away from the carbohydrates the last couple of days, like maybe the last 2 days before they're going to do a fast. And that they just have more proteins, not necessarily more, but the same amount of proteins at meal. They just get away from the carbohydrates, and they try to really start reducing those amount of carbohydrates, because it's the carbohydrates that make you hungry. If you have bacterial and fungus overgrowths in your digestive system, like most people do unfortunately, and you get away and you go a long period of time and you get real gassy and bloaty and your stomach gets super noisy in there too, that's all of the bad bacteria flipping out, and they're so abundant that they're overpowering the good bacteria, and that's why they're creating all these gases and all this other garbage and everything else. Okay, so you need to start cutting those down so that you starve the bad bacteria and you keep feeding the good bacteria with protein, and that way you improve the gut. That's where probiotics are another issue, and I'll cover that in a whole nother video. So, trying to do proteins and staying away from the carbohydrates the last 2 days before your fast, and then starting your fast before you go to bed. Don't overconsume going into a fast, and don't overconsume coming out of a fast. So the whole idea of fasting is getting you more used to eating less over a period of time. It's just a matter of being careful with it. Like, I'm over 50. I don't ever skip, I don't ever go a day without food, or I haven't in quite a while. Primarily because I am over 50 and I train a lot and that sort of thing, and I don't have a lot of excess body tissue. So because of that, my body's going to dig into my muscle mass if I go too long without food, and I don't want that to happen. I need to maintain my muscle mass. I'm not somebody that builds muscle real easily. So, and then once you go your first day, when you wake up on the second day, see how you feel. Try to get through those first couple of hours, see how the day goes. If you start feeling pretty good, most people do, then great, go a second day. On day 3, when you wake up, do the same thing you did on day 2. Try to go the first couple hours, see how everything feels. If you feel pretty good, great. If you feel like your blood sugar gets a little low, move. Get up and move around. Go for a little walk, Don't do anything intense. Just low impact, easy things that you move around. That's going to raise your blood sugar level naturally, because you're going to be bringing oxygen in and your body's going to start turning it into fuel. So that will also really stimulate your mitochondria in every cell to produce more energy in your body. Okay, so those are my recommendations for doing a fast. Reach out to your health practitioner and see if they have any concerns. And we'll throw out this: if you're on any kind of medication or anything like that, I highly recommend that you work with a health practitioner to try to get off of those first before thinking about trying to do a fast. Okay. So, if you've got questions, reach out to me. You can always reach me on Instagram at michaelfinn490, and you can always email me at michael@finfit.com. You can download my free ebook on my website, which is finfit.com, and you can always subscribe and ring the little bell and fun things like that. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. I hope you all have a happy and healthy day, and enjoy your fast.